Hello, everyone. Apologies for my lateness. Everything's just got a bit away with me today. I have been doing calls and in between that, going to the hospital to sort Tim out. More on that perhaps a little bit later. Let me just go live on Instagram. Here we go. Going live. Marvelous. We are live. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about a very important topic. My name is Lindsay Setchell, and welcome back to this Phoenix Way mini live challenge. We're on day 34, guys. Day 34. We're chalking up the days. So today we're going to focus on another critical skill, which is assessing the hoof before trimming. So we've looked at things like tools. We've looked at things like when not to trim, when to trim, all of those. And we'll delve a little bit deeper into some of those again. But I want to think about assessing the hoof before trimming. So before we even pick up a rasp, before we even pick up the nippers, when we're doing cadaver hooves on our workshops, the very first thing we ask them to do, we give them specific guidelines to look for things. And we're saying, pick it up, now start looking. What do you see? Because you need to be able to fully understand what the hoof's telling you. We've said this before, haven't we, about listening to the horse. A good trim always starts with thoroughly looking at what you're seeing, assessing it. Because trimming without evaluating first is surely like cutting your hair without checking how naturally it falls, wouldn't you say? So let me know in the comments, do you have a system or a little checklist that you follow before you trim? We have the guidelines to the trim. We can tell you what things you've got to do when you're doing the trim, but do you have a little, what do you hone in on the very first time you pick up a horse's foot? Or alternatively, do you actually sometimes feel quite unsure about what to look for? So let's dive in a moment, and we'll talk about assessing the foot before we trim. But before that, what should we do? We'll do some oh my God. This will teach me for being late, isn't it? Sunshine's here. Good morning, all. Lindsay, please let Tim know after he's okay that we use mounting blocks for such tasks as changing light bulbs. Quite right. Quite right. Or ladders, maybe. Not a bouncy bed anyway. Yes, we know the problem. Hello from a disgustingly cold Canada. I've just been on a call, on a trim tutorial with one of our lovely students in the other side of where you are, Fiona, and it's Ontario, and it's so snowy. It looks so beautiful, though. I don't think I could possibly complain. Good morning from hot Australia, completely the other end of the spectrum. Tara's here from Spain. Good afternoon from cold and rainy Spain. Jeanette's here. Ha ha. Jeanette says cold but sunny northern France. It's not. It's cold. It's not raining here in Midwest France. Therese says hi from Sweden. Heather's here. Hi everyone. How is Tim today after the visit to the hospital? Hope they've come up with a plan. Right. I'll tell you in a moment. It kind of gets worse rather than better. Georgie's here. Hi everyone, says Georgie. Melanie says hello from Pennsylvania, USA. Tell Tim he rubbed bad luck off on me. I fell yesterday and ended up in hospital for x-rays. Nothing broken, just badly bruised. No, don't. Please tell me you weren't on a bed trying to change a light bulb. Please tell me that's not what you were doing. Heather says hope you're okay and not too sore. Yes, we all do. Shannon is here. She says, hi, everyone, from a very frigid northern Alberta. Louise says, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Angie Medler's here with her marigold hand. Deanna's here. Hello, good morning. It was good to meet you yesterday, Deanna. All snowing in Washington State. Gosh, amazing. Still snowing, rather, in Washington State. Gail's here. Hi. Erin's here. Good afternoon, everyone from Ohio. Okay, two more. Lydia says, hello again, everyone. Gotta love these lives with all of you. It's a family. Maggie's here. Hello, all the way from Wales in the UK. All right, so why is assessment essential? That's what we're looking at, right? That's what we're going to talk about. I want to explain the importance of assessing feet before trimming. When we do our student trim tutorials, when we're online, wherever they are in the world, when we're doing our tutorials with them, the very first thing we want them to do is tell us what they see. I want you to tell me what you're looking at. I want you to assess the hoof before you trim it. Why? Because when you're new to it, when I'm picking up a foot and Gary's picking up a foot, or any of our pros are picking up a foot, we're so used to doing it that the second we pick it up, we're scanning the sole. We've already walked up to the horse and gone and looked down. Remember when I always say to you, you can't judge balance from the top. Yeah, you can't do that. Anybody that says that to you, run for the hills, because they don't know what they're talking about. You can't do that. But what you can do, of course, oh, I've lost you. What you can do is you can see if there are any issues with rings, if there's any cracks, if there are any of those sorts of things. Those are things you can see. So what you have to do when you're picking the foot up, when Gary and I pick the foot up, anybody else picks the foot up that's a pro, is we scan. And then I have a little bit of a routine, you know, I'm going to like clear the deck, I'm going to be looking at the bars, but I check the balance, but I know where I need to go. But when you're learning, it's good to really assess, take your time to assess, so that it can help you avoid over trimming and maybe even under trimming, which is one of the biggest problems actually with owners, because you don't want to be removing too much material, you don't want to be causing soreness, you don't want to be affecting balance. So assessing it is going to guide your trimming decisions, isn't it? It's going to guide what you've got to do. I think also when we're teaching people the guidelines to finding Mother Nature's foot, remember, this isn't a method. What we're doing is we're saying, look, all horses have their own natural footprint, their own natural wear patterns. They all have those. But when you pick up a horse's foot, oftentimes you can't see that. Particularly when we're doing some grotty cadaver hooves that are seriously far, way away from what that horse's foot should naturally have been. So when we're looking at those, and our aim is to give you the guides to bring that back down to the natural foot. Don't remove anything that the horse wouldn't remove. How many horses do you see removing their toes completely and lopping off 4 months of growth? Doesn't happen. You're looking at growth patterns, wear patterns, the balance, so that you can decide where you need to start and what actually needs to be addressed. So many people, like I was referring to earlier, that when we give you the guidelines to the trim and you start learning about that, and of course we talk about that in our 10-day challenge, we take you all the way through that. I think people think, right, I've got to do every last little guideline. There's about 7 of them. We've whittled them down to a good 7, and funny number. And I think people think they have to do every stage. Not so. You don't have to do that. And that's why assessing the foot beforehand is really important. I see people look at the foot and there's nothing visually that needs to be done on the sole, because this is a barefoot horse and that perhaps we're looking at, and not a lot really needs to be done, but they'll still go through the motions of clearing the deck, picking up the nippers, let's say. Or you don't need to do that if what you're looking at is obvious that it doesn't need that doing to it. But if you've got a chunk of bar in there, you've got to go, well, look, what am I looking for? I'm looking for where the true bar ends, and I'm looking for where all that crazy accreted lumps are of sole stroke bar material have appeared around the frog. I know that that's got to be done. I mustn't forget to do that. So it's going to tell you the condition of the hoof, isn't it? Because we know that reflects the horse's overall health. it's going to give you an idea about conformation, because you might be picking up a horse's foot that's wrying a little bit, that's slightly wry, and which is made worse by incorrect trims. You might be picking up a foot that's looking a little bit clubbed, which is made worse because of incorrect trimming. And the lifestyle might be having an effect on the horse's feet. So identifying anything in the foot, assessing it, looking for changes in the hoof, especially when you're taking photographs, can help you spot potentials. We've always said that these sort of things can help you spot potential problems early. So a trim should be, how many times, should be based on what the hoof needs, the horse needs, not what we think it should look like. It's not aesthetic driven trimming. We are not God. We don't do the PPT, personal preference trimming. We don't do that. We are assessing what the horse needs. So let's just break down what assessment actually means. Should we break it down into some steps? When we're going to assess a horse's hoof before we're trimming, we need to follow an approach, a systematic approach to it. I'm walking towards, and this is happening to me all the time. Every time I'm around a horse, I'm looking at the way the horse is behaving. I'm chatting to the owner. I've got one eye on the horse. I'm looking to see if that horse is shifting weight. Are there issues? I can tell when I see a horse if that horse is thinking about its feet or not. I can just tell. I've done this for so long, I know. We don't want horses thinking about their feet. We want them to have such wonderfully sound hooves that it never crosses their mind that the hooves are a problem. I want to see, are they shifting weight? I want to see if I can see any issues with distortion. Obvious if they've had the toe chopped off. And my heart sinks. And I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and my heart sinks every time. And I see it a lot, every single time, because I look at the horse's face and I look at the feet and I think, you poor bugger, that nobody has understood. Nobody listens to the horse. It grinds my gears so much. So we're looking at that. We're observing. We're looking at the way the horse is standing. We're looking at the way the horse is moving. I want to see if that horse is moving freely. I'm not going to go trot the horse up or walk. I'm not bothered with that. I'm more than happy to turn up and see a horse just wandering around before the owner goes and gets it, so I can see it walking freely. And one of the big things I often do after a trim is stick around for 5 or so minutes while we let the horse loose, so I can see the horse moving around. That's a big thing for me. I want to see how that horse is moving. I think I've said this to you before. There is a very, very distinct difference to a horse that is sick, poorly, riddled with systemic inflammation and issues, hormonal issues, an animal that is not doing well, and there's got inflammation in their feet, and they're just generally not feeling good the way that they walk, to an animal who is fine generally, other than huge amounts of stress in its body and anxiety because it can't walk on its feet because P3 is in the wrong position. It looks different. The two look different. The way that the horse behaves, the way that they are feeling, the way that they walk, it's different. However, I have to tell you, very few people that I have ever met are able to tell the difference. Most of them just assess it as if they're laminitic. That's it. They're sick. It's not that. There are two very different things. So watching your horse walk is important. How are the feet landing? You can video your horse walking and see how the feet are landing. A natural foot that's natural, that's healthy and well balanced should really be landing flat. And I know there's an awful lot of people in the world that say that horses land heel first, but I have to tell you, there's an awful lot of people in the world that do not trim the horse's feet properly. If you're constantly taking the toe off and that horse is struggling at the front of the foot, where do you think it's going to land? If your horse has got a really poorly back of the foot, where do you think it's going to land? Toe first. If your horse is just nicely balanced, growth rates are really good, heels are not too underrun, so they're going to hit the ground first, they're not too high, all's beautifully well balanced, horses should naturally land flat. Now, some will land slightly laterally. Is that because of the conformation, or is that because of the way that they've been trimmed in the past, and then we are down a road where we can't change things sometimes? So we're looking for things like that. You're checking, not that I have to tell you I particularly care what a horse is doing with landing, with its hoof landings. I'm not going to be going, oh, I don't obsess about it. I want function and comfort is top of my list. Form and what the world thinks you should be doing is at the bottom of my list. I am looking for function and comfort first and foremost, because I want to get that horse through this rehab or get those feet better as fast as possible. So that's what I look for. And there is no faster way of getting a horse through a rehab than allowing the horse to have the foot that they should have, whether that looks distorted or not, as long as it's balanced. So it's important to do that. And I'm viewing the overall hoof shape. I'm looking at it. Their front foot look the same. Do they do that? I think, oh my God, look, we've got one heel much higher than the other. We've got high-low. We've got all these sorts of things that I'm looking at the second I turn up to a new horse and to a horse that I'm trimming regularly. And once you start tuning in to really good feet, then when you look at poorly feet, you can tell there are issues. You know, what was it that Bracy Clark said? Unfortunately, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, when you start seeing deformity all the time, you just get used to it. And then you think it's normal. You don't see it. You don't see it anymore. If you're seeing shod feet all the time, you don't see that that's a problem. You don't see the issues there because you don't know what a normal foot looks like. You've been desensitized. So I'm looking for all those sorts of things. I am comparing the feet. I'm just looking at all of them. Now, I don't want horses necessarily to be symmetrical, especially in the domestic world, but it's rare that you'll find that horses should have one P3 like that and one like that. That's not how it should be. It's rare that that's the way they should be healthily and normally, but it's not rare that we find it all the time, these disparities between the feet. Why? Because we have humans doing their feet, and humans are faulty. They're more faulty than computers, of course. You know, these aren't 3D printing people. These are human beings with human error very much factored in, and they're handed, and they also don't know what is natural because they've got used to, like Bracy Clark said, seeing distortion. So I want you to look for growth patterns. Are they even? Have we got one side of the foot slightly higher than the other? If we're looking at rings from the top, we can see if we've got deviations from diverging to just deviations. Those things are going to tell us stuff. It's going to tell us about growth rates. It's going to tell us what bit's growing faster than the other. It's going to tell us whether they're going to get pressure points in certain areas. So that's important. You're looking at the quality of the hoof wall. You're looking when you pick the horse up whether the white line is stretched. That, if it is telling you a story, isn't it? Already it's beginning to tell you a story. You're looking to see if the toe has been removed. You're looking to see how far the heels are above the hard sole plane. Are those bars massively overgrown? You're going to evaluate that sole and the frog and see if it's looking flat, the sole, or does it have some concavity? Is it looking flat because you've got a ton of compaction in there? Are you starting to tune into that now? Are you looking at the frog and thinking, wow, that's a robust frog, it's well developed? Or is it contracted and weak and atrophied and sore? And if I get my hoof pick and gently touch the sulcus, is the horse going to hit the roof? So you're checking for thrush, you're looking for bruising, you're looking for signs of sensitivity. You're not going to chase that. It's just going to inform you. It shouldn't. Now this is a big thing to think about. It shouldn't inform your decision as to whether you trim something or not, because that's a big confusion. I think somebody put on the YouTube channel the other day, I'm trimming the bars. Thank you so much. I think it was the rocket science lesson on bars. Thank you so much. It's really, really made me realize. I thought that when I was taking the bars away and I was seeing red under the bars or under the non-true bar as well, that I was doing too much. Now I realize that wasn't the case at all. So I kept leaving it, leaving. And the bruising was always there every time I did anything. And then I realized that the reason the bruising's there is because this is pinpoint pressure that they shouldn't be having. And that's causing bruising because that weight distribution is not even anymore. So being able to pick it up and assess it, looking at all of those things before you get stuck in, and 100% check balance, so that when you then you go back to check the balance, you know that you have not done something opposing what that horse needs. Sometimes you're doing something better than the horse had a lot of the time, because you're now trimming to that horse's natural parameters. So I want you to have a clear picture of what that hoof actually needs well before you begin trimming. Okay, let's carry on. I don't know where I was, as with Maggie, I think. Ramona, hello from Spain, says Ramona. Good to see you. Garvin Ranch, is it rainy with you like it is with Tara? Garvin Ranch says, howdy, hey, from Wisconsin. Charlotte Scott's here. Hello, everyone. Hope that you are all well. The church bells are ringing here at 6 p.m. in Devon. Is this a special day? I don't know. Church bells, I swear to God, where Tim's lives on the Place de l'Église in this lovely little, cute little town called Sommières-du-Clain. And he is literally next door to this big old church. And for some reason, here, nobody has watches or phones or anything like that. And the lovely church rings its bells every hour. You do tune out a little bit, but on 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night, I'm not going to repeat what we call it. It's the something of the bells. And it's a bit rude. And they go mad. Dang, 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 dang. And so people come and stay here and they can't sleep for the first 2 nights because all they can hear are the bells ringing. What's going on? Why? What? Stop. Don't need that anymore. I get that people needed it all those years ago, but now. Maylin's here from Sweden. Hello. Charlotte says, Melanie, I hope that you're feeling less bruised too. I do too. Connie, hello. I briefly saw your message. I will respond later this evening. I promise. It sounds exciting. Monica's here from Czech. Hello. Dawn's here. Hi, everyone from Wales. Jenny Ackerstom's here. Hi from Sweden. Gail says, snowing here again. I keep reminding myself it's much needed moisture for oh, absolutely loving these mini lives. It's so great to have these little bite-sized bits of information. Well, big bite-sized bits. I know, right? Sorry, I can't help it. To reaffirm it in my brain. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do, is to keep your momentum going as you embark on this journey of rehabbing your horse's feet. Now, of getting them back. Every single foot that I come across that has not been trimmed naturally ends up being a rehab case, effectively. And when the lamella wedge begins to show because the heels have been too high, owners like that, I didn't even know it was there because it's been chopped off for so long. I didn't even know it existed. God. Anita's here. Hi, from BC, Canada. Aston Burnett's here. Hello, lovely to see you from South Africa. Becky Harding's here from Essex in the UK, one of our HMB pros. And Chopra's here, Stratford, Ontario. Lovely to see you. Carol Colbert's here from Australia. Ali Halfpenny's here. Hello. And one more. Piers here. Hello. Good to see you all the way from Finland. Now, let's carry on. Let's carry on talking about what we're talking about. Assessing the foot. Common mistakes in hoof assessment that can lead you into improper trimming, to PPT. Because experienced trimmers, it doesn't, when somebody said I've been trimming 20 years, that I don't care whether you've been trimming 20 years or 5 minutes. Some of the people that I teach to trim that have been trimming 5 minutes are trim far, far better than people that have been trimming 20 years. It's not time in service that makes you the better person or the better trimmer, sorry. It's sure, you've got experience, but that experience could have been doing it wrong for 20 years. Somebody said to me the other day, lovely lady said to me the other day, she's been trimming for 20 years and she's only really just understanding proper dorsopalmar balance because she never properly taught it. She kind of just worked it out and realized that maybe she wasn't working it out correctly. So some of the common mistakes: don't rely on what looks good instead of what's functional. I think I've rammed that into your brains now, haven't I? There are so many trims that prioritize making the hoof look symmetrical or rather than following what the horse actually needs. I might have told you this story before. There I was at this client's place, the first time I met her, and she had this lovely little show stallion. Well, he was just a lovely stallion, but she called him her show stallion. And me and her were never going to see eye to eye. She was never, ever, ever going to treat those horses as horses that needed to go out and do all the wonderful things they needed to do and communicate with each other and friends forage. It's never going to happen. I lasted one visit. There I am trimming the front feet, and I'd done my job. I'd finished all 4 feet, and I stood up and she went, the feet aren't symmetrical, front feet. And I went, no, look at that. Who knew? That's because they have not been trimmed correctly before and they have problems. And she went, I want them to look the same. He's my show stallion. They must look the same. Make them the same. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Say that to me. I looked at her and I went, here's the rasp. You want to make them look the same? Crack on. I'm not doing that because they are functional and they are the hooves he needs right now. Because his hooves haven't been trimmed. Well, my farrier always trimmed them the way I wanted them to be trimmed. Okay, bye-bye then. See you around or not. Don't ignore things. Don't ignore what the foot looks like now, like 2 odd looking feet. I don't ignore it. I recognize it. I register it, but I don't try and make it look the same, because if you get the balance right, that means it's functioning properly, or at least on the way to functioning properly, and then everything else will start to fall into place and the feet will start to look more and more similar together. You know, if your foot is looking healthy, but you pick it up and you go, or you think it's looking healthy and you pick it up and you go, ooh, actually frog's a bit smelly, and come on, crikey, look at those bars. You realize that actually you're looking, and this is what people do all the time, you're looking at that aesthetics driven trimming. You're looking at it from the top. Personally, I feel sick when I see a foot that's had its toe removed. It makes me feel, knowing what I know about osteonecrosis, and we are, like I've told you before, some of the only people in the world who are properly highlighting the problem with osteonecrosis and where it comes from and why it's there. It makes me feel sick. There was a lady on the page only today that has been rehabbing her horses, and she took her eye off her trimmer for 5 minutes, and the trimmer had just been trimming under her guidance, under the owner's guidance, that her pony's feet. She did okay. But while she's sorting out her pony, 5 minutes she's looking in the other direction. This trimmer, I mean, it made me so angry. Just took the toes off. A foot that really is fine as well. Apart from anything else, what are you thinking? It makes me feel physically sick, knowing the horror that I have seen out there. I feel physically sick. It makes my tummy turn. I feel it. Even talking about it and thinking about those images that I saw today makes me feel so awful for that horse, because you just removed that horse's 2 or 3 months of growth. Crazy, stupid, ignorant trimming. I will probably put a picture of it up on the page later today. It drives me mad. So we must not prioritize what it looks like, aesthetics, over function. We can't do that. We've got to stop doing that. That's why the equine world is in the gutter, the hoof care. And don't make assumptions, because the hooves might be slightly different because of the way that that horse is moving at this moment in time. How many times do I see people say, oh, his foot's flared, and they completely remove that side of the foot, so that you look at it underneath now like, ah, well, there used to be some hoof wall there. There's none anymore, because they've removed it because they wanted it to look nice and straight. Naughty, naughty. It's about balance. So always assess them individually. Every single foot I pick up is a new foot to my eyes, even though I've been trimming them for years. Sometimes I pick it up and it's a new foot to my eyes, because I am always scanning, always assessing. Okay. You can avoid making mistakes when you properly start really looking, listening, assessing the hoof. And that's about long-term soundness. We're talking about function. Be careful how I said that then. All right, a few more shout outs. Oh, let's just jump into Instagram. Oh my goodness, we've got loads of you in there. We got Marie Shaw, we got, I think I said that right, Kathy Yorkshire Lass is here again, Jess is here, Phil Dating's joined, Dee Passmore has joined, Snoopy Star, I'm sorry if I'm just, Emma Jane's here. Why couldn't everybody just have Dixie Bella, Sarah FK, Little Hooves, M Bernard, Oliver is here. PJ Popatros is here. Sarah FK. Okay. And hi from, she says, hi from Petaluma. And hi from Switzerland, says Snoopy. Loads of you are here. It's wonderful to see you all, to hear you all watching. Can I hear you watching? I don't know if I can hear you watching. I don't know what I was saying there. Alexandra Bars says, bars, walls, heels, balance. Good morning. Shannon says, I hone in on balance, then bar growth and wall growth. You guys, I'm so proud of you. Where were you a year ago in your knowledge? Where were you a few months ago? Where were you weeks ago for some of you? Days ago? You're picking this up now. The world will change because you know this stuff. And where do you go to complete this and get more and be more nerdy? Because I know you're getting nerdy now. Of course, you go to the challenges. You get those done. And if you can get on a workshop, you get on a workshop. It's getting exciting for North America. Things are getting exciting. 2 workshops. I know it's only on the eastern side of the States at the moment. Looks like we may be having workshops in Canada now. I think I'm coming to North America and I'm never going home again. I cried. I made a call out for cadaver legs, and you've all answered that call. Or some of you have. Thank you so much. Is the foot balanced before I trim, says Dawn. Aston says bars and heels. Attention always goes there first. Absolutely. Vroom, straight in. Oh my God. Georgie says, I would check bars, heels, sole for any calluses, balance. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Nicole's here. We haven't seen you for ages. From Peru. Hello, lovelies. We've missed you. It's nice to have you back. Alison says, just made it. Hi, Alison. Fiona says, I assess the balance and how much growth there's been and in which areas. And now that I take pictures regularly, good girl, I sometimes go back to see how I left it at my last trim to compare. Yes. You get home after you've taken some photographs, you get home and you're like, it's 2 hours back to the trim. You can't go back and do something about it, can you? You can't go back when you go, I didn't see that bit of bar there. What was I doing? Vivienne Avery says, good morning from New Zealand. Love to you all. Love it, love it. Louise says, unsure, but always check the bars and heels and check to see how much will come off to the HSP. Snow is pretty, but when you look at it for 6 months, it's not pretty anymore. I get that. But when I look at rain for 6 months, I don't like that either. Kathleen's here. Hello, everyone. I look for bar, heel, walk. Look at this. Look at what you're saying. But on a laminated wall contraction, I feel completely clueless. All right. Compaction, I bet, and contraction, I feel clueless. Very glad to have your guidance. You are very welcome. Laura, snowy Washington. Fiona says, the snow. I like the -30. Could do without. Whew. I can't imagine what that's like. Rona Hoofs is here. Hi, Lindsay and Gary from Australia. I should go to bed. It's good to see you, though. Hello. Shannon says, I agree, -40. What the hell? And I can't really. No, it's crazy. Rona says, I'm hoofing mad. Well, you've met Hoofing Marvelous, and here we are. Do you know where I got that? I came up with that name because when I was pregnant many, many years ago, my daughters are now 21 and 22, there was a company called Blooming Marvelous, and where you could get clothes from for pregnant ladies. And Hoofing Marvelous kind of came from that, really. So thank you, Blooming Marvelous. You helped me out there. Mindy Beresy says, hi, all from a misty Michigan. Oh, God, yeah, absolutely. Judy's here. Judy Dummermuth, found you. I was sitting on a different site, waiting, and thought maybe I'm not in the right place. Okay, Tiv's here. Hello, Tiv. Just curious, but do you run into situations where you need to trim show horses? I know a lot are shod, but some go barefoot. I'm guessing judges, right? They don't know. Come on. Who knows? Frankly, if vets, farriers, and other trimmers are not trimming to the natural parameters of the horse's foot or don't understand it, do you think a showy judge is going to know that? They want you to paint the hooves and make them look pretty and glistening. And, you know, I'm sorry if you think that that's a bit rough, but it's true. You don't trim any foot to look like anything. You trim a foot for that horse's function and comfort. That's the way it goes. Penny's here. Hello. Fam's here. Fam Steinberg. Hello from Ontario. So many of you. I want to shout out to you. Nicole says my pony's frog is very concaved. That could be due to low bar. Well, do you know what, Nicole? Get on back into the Phoenix group. We'd love to see you again. Stick up some photos. Right, I'm gonna have to stop the shout outs. So many of you, so many of you. I love the shout outs. Okay, so your takeaway at the end of this. How long have I been on? Oh my God, it's getting longer. A good trim always starts with a great assessment. So before I don't want you to go in there and make marks and do all of that, although we do teach that on the workshop. We do say, here are some Sharpie pens, mark out what you see. And then we go from there, because it just helps to really focus your eyes. So before you make any changes to the hoof, you must take time, observe, feel, analyze what's going on. Feel, take your gloves off, get a feel. So for today's mini challenge for you, next time you're looking at your horse's hooves, and it's a daily occurrence right now, go through this assessment everybody's been talking about, looking at the bars, looking at the heels. Is that sole going to need any trimming? Has the white line got some stretch? Are there any holes in it? What are we looking for? What's that telling us about the history? I can tell you by looking at a horse's foot what's been happening to the trim before, straight away, when I come to a new horse's foot. So take notes, always take notes, take photographs, notice any imbalances, changes, patterns, all those sorts of things. Thank you again for joining me in my mini, now getting very midi. Please don't let it get mega. Careful how I say that. Challenge, because that's just going to go on too long. I hope this session's given you another thought, a structured approach. I want you to have a structured approach to hoof assessment, but I don't want you to be a robot, guys. That's not what we're after. We're not after muscle memory robots. We're after people who really are looking at what that horse needs. And it will make you make better trimming decisions, okay? If you found today's session helpful, here we go. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow. not just me, but the Phoenix Way, Hoofing Marvelous. Go and follow the HM International School of Horse and Hoof Care, our page that we have for that. Don't always have an awful lot going on in there, but follow it anyway. Follow. Go follow Galsworth, follow Bethan, follow all of us that are really pushing for raising the standards of horse and hoof care around the world. Get yourself on those challenges, get on a workshop. And we are going to release the workshops in North America very, very soon, folks. So keep watching. The Phoenix Way is about working together. It's about growing stronger together, not forcing change, guiding balance. Until next time, folks, love you all. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.